Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest. If the complaint I came to college to be went with, but I ain't, is something that you heard from a child of college age, it's probably too late to be, for you to be able to affect their life in a positive way before they get to college. Their social life and their future career, whatever, is kind of already established by that point. But if you can, the rest, what we're going to say today would apply to a child younger than that you can still influence their life and get them to a point of literacy. Literacy can be established. There's a man named William McGuffey who wrote a series of books called McGuffey's Readers. He wrote these in 1834 through 1836, and they made a huge difference in the way the United States went, because people could read now. Before that, the primers that people were supposed to be learning from were extremely full of judgmental religious messages. One of the most used ones is the New England Primer. It starts at the beginning. A is for Adam. This is the beginning book of the series, followed by, in Adam's fall we sinned all. And the closing lines of this first primer: give ear, my children, to my words. Build not your house too high, but always have before your eye that you were born to die. That's the kind of message that there was before McGuffey came along. Now McGuffey, on the other hand, he wrote of subjects of common interest, household familiarity kind of thing. A is for axe. An axe was a common and familiar household tool at that time, and so on through the alphabet. And people loved his books. There were actually 100 million McGuffey's Readers sold before 1900. And the way these books were used is not just by one person. They would be in a household, and a lot of people would benefit from this. Now, we need McGuffey these days. Why? I'll tell you. A study in 2003 showed that 22% of the American population was not educated enough to be able to perform certain basic functions. So we need another McGuffey. Now, I was the quality and training manager in a factory in North Hollywood for a while, and I became very aware of how literacy affects people in the workroom. So I brought in an English teacher, and this English teacher held an English class that was very rousing. It was strictly optional. People didn't have to go, but it was flooded, and it was very exciting. People came in to thank me afterwards, because it was the first English class where they could really learn English, and they had a great time with it. She used the principles from applied scholastics, and everybody came out just fine. Now, I'm not the only one that ever thought of bringing education into the classroom. According to the American, let's see, what do they call it here? The American Council of Life Insurers reports that 75% of the Fortune 500 companies use some kind of remedial training for their workers. So it's a problem being addressed from a lot of aspects. Now, I quote from Begin to Read in a study, Why Learn to Read Early. 2/3 of students who cannot proficiently read by the end of 4th grade will end up in jail or on welfare. The 4th grade is the watershed year. So in my opinion now, it just takes a bit of caring to be able to bring a child up to literacy. It's actually kind of easy and fun. You don't have to learn all about phonics. You don't have to know the rules of anything. You just have to care, spend quality time with the person, and present something such as we are showing you today. Now, soon I will be introducing Barbara here. Barbara has heard poets read their own work at live workshops and readings, but she's also heard poets of the past on recordings, Dylan Thomas, Robert Frost, those kind of guys. And you'll see, as she reads hers, that she puts a little something into it. Well, you can put that kind of thing into it too. Now you have to listen to her book. Her graduate studies were in the field of early childhood education, and her book is called Creature Poems for Small and Large Humans. I'd like to introduce Barbara Ellingson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I did write and publish this book called Creature Poems for Small and Large Humans. And my basic idea, as we all know in this room, is that poetry, literature, or any art form, if it communicates, will reach its audience. And guess what? The audience will understand it. All right? So the idea is, behind this book, is that poetry communicates. It is geared towards almost any age level. Parents can read it to children. Children can read it themselves if they're a little older. But that's the whole idea. I'm going to read you one of these poems. This poem is a limerick. That is a clean one, of course. But limericks are mainly meant to poke fun at things. And here it is. This is Large Creatures number 15. There once was a fellow named Billy, whose high notes all sounded too shrilly. He preferred not to bah, but to sing opera. He was not going to be a hillbilly. He practiced duets with a donkey, but between them they sang in the wrong key. Their B flats were onerous, their high C's were murderous. Said his ma, "You're driving us wonky." Then she told him, "Don't pout or look glum, and you won't have to take up the drum. Just practice your ba so you sound like your pa, and your ma won't think you so dumb." Or be more like your big sister Millie, who just scoffs at anything frilly. Her musical sounds are the foods that go down through her gullet. The rest is all silly. And then there's our great Aunt Tilly, whose glances are known to be chilly. Just please play it smart and give up your art. Won't you please just appease little Billy? We now find our young Billy bleating, following his mama's entreating. He's no musical fool, but is happy to drool over all of the foods he's been eating. If moral there be in these lines, it is obvious to all clever minds. To sing a great note, just don't be a goat. Or your goat will get you in the hinds.
Oh, so cute.
Very good. Thank you. I just wanted to add that every single poem in this book is followed by poetic notes for that poem describing the rhythms, the rhymes, the poetic forms, what they are, and also other additional material. For example, in this one, I talk about allegory. Allegory is the type of artistic form where you have a message that is deeper than the one that is available on the surface of the artistic form. And allegory comes to us in many ways. For example, Aesop's fables. But I make the point in this way, if anyone were to interpret that Little Billy's food is really an allegory about money, and so get the idea that you cannot make a living at the arts, and had better give it all up and conform to the lowest common denominator of what sometimes passes for family values, that would be a valid interpretation, though personally I would have to reject such a message entirely. However, as we said, limericks are mainly meant to poke fun at things. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to give you some quotes from some people I respect in keeping with this theme here. This first line, catch this. Today's children will become tomorrow's civilization. Bringing a child into the world today is a bit like dropping one into a tiger's cage. Children can't handle their environment and they have no real resources. They need love and help to make it. That's by L. Ron Hubbard and the Love and Help Children precept in the Way to Happiness. So this Creature Poems is a tool. It's not the only tool, but we're placing this tool in people's hands because these poems are simple, straightforward, and they're short enough to hold a child's interest. She doesn't use a huge vocabulary, but they are a vocabulary builder as you go through them again and again. There are 33 of these poems. And you can revisit the book later on to learn more about the poetic forms and all that kind of thing. She's actually been approached by one person handling a curriculum in the college to add this to the curriculum in the college. So it covers quite a range, just like McGuffey's Readers would start people at the beginning and take them up gradiently through several steps. I'll read a few more quotes. Do you recall a day when you were younger and woke to find bright dew sparkling on the grass, the leaves, to find the golden sun bright upon a happy world? Do you recall how beautiful and fine it once was? That's from L. Ron Hubbard in his wonderful book, Self-Analysis. Here's a quote from someone who has inspired us all. That's the real trouble with the world. Too many people grow up. They forget. They don't remember what it's like to be 12 years old. That's from Walt Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Founder of Walt Disney Productions. You all know who he is, I'm sure. And friend of Mickey Mouse. A good, stable adult with love and tolerance in his heart is about the best therapy a child can have. L. Ron Hubbard in Child Dianetics. So if your child, grandchild, friend, niece, nephew, whatever, is earlier than the stage where they would say, I came to college to be went with, but I ain't, then you can do something about it. And you really can do something about it. You have the power to do it. It's very simple. You care and you communicate. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right.